And don't forget to shoot for the stars, my friends, because if you miss, you land in the moon. I don't know if that's the right phrase, and I'm pretty sure it isn't, but do it anyway. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gaming things. I am back again today with another pumped up Kickstarter. And today's preview video is going to be on Starline Hill from Autumn Garden, who very kindly sponsored today's video. A few things to note before we get started. Number one, this is a prototype. So all of the components that you see are prototype components, including, of course, this box. So anything that we discuss today or that you see is, of course, subject to change as per usual. If you watch this video and it sounds like Starline Hill might be a game that you're interested in, I'm going to have all the links, everything you need to know in the description below. And as per usual with my preview videos, this is not an official how to play. I'm going to give you an overview of how the game works so you can decide whether or not it's a good fit for you. So with all that being said, I say we shoot for the moon so we can land among the stars and we learn a little bit more about Starline Hill. Let's do it. Alrighty, my friends, I have Starline Hill set up here in front of me. There's one thing that I want to note before we dive in. You may notice the cards say Starfarer. The name has since been changed, so please just ignore that little feature there. In Starline Hill, you and your opponent will take turns performing actions to place your color of player stars in the sky. Your goal is to use your player stars to match the star patterns of the 3 available constellations. Place your stars carefully to solidify your territory, restricting your opponent's options while trying to form constellation shapes yourself. Oh wait, what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. Let's take a closer look at how the game plays. Starline Hill is played over a series of turns, and when it's your turn, you may either pass or play. When you play, you take an action and then you may optionally claim. If you're unable to take an action, you must pass. You're unable to take an action if you have no player stars remaining. Let's talk about the actions you can take on your turn. We have place a star and draw a line. So let's talk about those a little bit more in depth, starting with place a star. You are going to place a star by placing a neutral star piece on the desired empty space, notch side up, and then place one of your player stars on top of it in that notch. So these here are the neutral stars. So as an example, you might want to place one right in there. Then you're going to take your player star and place it in the neutral star. You cannot place over pre-existing neutral stars or your opponent's player stars. So let's just say this is the situation that we had. So I couldn't just take this star and place it here, or I could not obviously place it over that red star. I would need to first take the neutral star, place it, and then place my star. So that's placing a star. Now the other action you could take is to draw a line. If you have 2 placed player stars in the sky along a straight line and between them is only neutral stars, you may draw a line placing your player stars on top of all the neutral stars on that line in between them. So let me set up a little example here. Let's just say this is the situation and that I am the yellow player. I can choose to draw a line because there's a straight line of neutral stars in between my stars. But in this particular instance, I wouldn't be able to place a star here, here, and here. You have to choose kind of like in between 2 stars. So on this turn, I might choose to draw a line by doing this. And then on a future turn, I could choose to draw a line and add my star here. So just so you know, that's kind of how that works. If you don't have enough player stars to fill the entire line, you may not take this action. After taking your action, and once per turn, you may optionally claim a constellation to earn its points, if you have matched its pattern using your player stars. When you claim, you will perform all of the following steps. So the first step is to take player stars forming the constellation's pattern back off the skyboard, leaving the neutral stars beneath them in the sky. So let me show you an example. These are the different constellation cards that we currently have out. Let's just say this is a situation that we had on the board. I could claim Pyora, the helm, with this situation right here. So I would take the player stars forming the constellation off of the skyboard, like so, leaving the neutral stars beneath them in the sky. The next thing that I'm going to do is take the constellation card and place it next to you. The listed points are now yours and there's no way to lose them. So in this instance, I would gain 5 points. Okay, and I'm just going to place that right next to me over here. And just make sure that all of your claimed constellation cards are face up and visible to your opponent. So everybody should be able to see everybody's points. Then you are going to draw a new constellation card to replace the one that was claimed, unless there are no empty spaces remaining in the sky, in which case you wouldn't do that. When you want to claim, you may only use your own player stars. That is empty spaces, neutral stars, and your opponent's player stars cannot contribute to your claim, okay? Any rotation of the constellation pattern is valid for claiming, but not a mirror reflection. So in other words, if you can rotate the constellation card to match the pattern of the player stars on the skyboard, it's valid to claim. If you can't, it's not. So that's why they're not kind of double-sided. You can rotate it, but you can't be like, oh, well, I have this, but just flippity-dood, the opposite, okay? Flippity-doo-dahs. That's not how you make constellation. That would be a totally different constellation, and that'd be wild. Just remember, you don't have to claim on your turn, even if you've met the conditions to do so. In many cases, it can be strategic to wait and anticipate where neutral stars will open up after a claim has been made. Once all spaces in the sky are filled, meaning there is a neutral star on every single space, you no longer draw new constellations to replace those that are claimed. This does not mean that the game immediately ends. However, players will no longer be able to place stars, but they can still draw lines. The game will end when either of the following conditions are met. Number 1, both players pass in immediate succession. Or number 2, there are no more constellation cards available to be claimed. The player with the highest number of points wins. So the question then is, who is this game for? Starline Hill is perfect for players who love abstract strategy games with a mix of tactical placement and pattern recognition. If you love games where every move matters and spatial awareness is key, you'll love the challenge of Starline Hill. This game is simple to learn, and yet it offers a deep strategy for those who want to master it. You know, we're always talking about easy to learn, hard to master games. This game definitely fits within that category. It's a tense 2-player duel where every turn is an opportunity to outmaneuver your opponent. If you love games that reward clever play and evolving strategies, Starline Hill could be a good fit for you. It can also be mean, but just know that that's just part of the game, because you might see that your opponent is working towards a certain constellation, so you may want to get one of your stars in there so that they can't have it, okay? It's okay to be mean in these types of games. Starline Hill also offers a few alternative rule sets. So there is a rule set for a quick game if you don't want to play the regular longer game, and there's even an option for a high strategy mode. So there's lots of variety within this box. So my friends, that is Starline Hill. Now, if you are interested in this game, like I mentioned before, I'll have all the links, everything you need to know in the description below. So make sure that you go and you check it out. But that is everything that I have for today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, this one we're going to Kickstarter, you'll remember, but other games that are currently out, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And now I say goodbye And don't forget to shoot for the stars, my friends, because if you miss, you land in the moon. I don't know if that's the right phrase, and I'm pretty sure it isn't, but do it anyway. Goodbye! Shoot for the moon, land among the stars. Not shoot for the stars. Well, you know what? Maybe if you shoot for the stars, you might land on the moon. Who am I to say?